Hey guys, what's up? My name is Christine Ross, and I want to go ahead and read you guys some facts and I guess a little bit of my story so that way we can kind of go into what this whole YouTube video is all about. So I'm going to start with Brown versus Board Education, which was in 1954. It was determined that segregation on the basis of race violated equal education opportunity. The Brown decision led the way to a growing understanding that all people, regardless of race, gender, or disability, have a right to a public education. And then we have FAPE in 1973. The right to a free, appropriate public education is an educational entitlement of all students in the U.S., guaranteed by the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the Individual with Disability Act, also known as IDEA. And then in 2001, we have the No Child Left Behind Act, ensuring that students with disabilities receive a high quality of education. The reason why I wanted to read those three first is because I'm going through a situation with the school system where I feel like, honestly, they kind of violated all three of these. If you want to go to Brown versus Board in 1954, where basically they're saying that all kids have the right, everybody has the right to a public school system, right? Well, I had to take my son out of the public school system and put him in something private. So that's a form of segregation. You weren't able to teach my son who has special needs. My son, Aiden, went to the same school and performed perfectly well. So the way I see it is it's a form of segregation. And then you have FAPE, which is the Free and Appropriate Education Act. They did not provide my son a free and appropriate education. A quick example, just so that way you guys understand kind of what I'm going through. Ethan has an IEP because he is special needs, he's autistic. And the IEP basically is designed, it's an individual evaluation placement. So whatever is in his IEP needs to be specifically for Ethan in order to achieve his goals. In his IEP, they stated that Ethan is reading, his DRA is on a 10 to 12, which is a kindergarten first grade level. They were trying to push Ethan into third grade. The DRA for a third grade is supposed to be 28 to 30. Okay, so one, he obviously wasn't getting an appropriate education, or my son wouldn't be reading on a kindergarten first grade level. And just some back history really quick. Ethan used to be super advanced. When we were at Bird Neck Elementary School, they told us that they thought Ethan was a savant because he literally could spell anything, words that they never even worked on. So now that we've switched schools, we have new teachers, we have a new IEP, he really started to regress. I noticed back in first grade that I thought Ethan wasn't where the other kids were, and I felt as his parent that he should be held back into first grade. They told me there was a team, because when you go into an IEP meeting, it's usually you and 7 other people, and that's the vice principal, the speech therapist, a psychologist, his teacher, his special needs teacher, his speech therapist, and whoever else ends up joining these meetings. But at that meeting, I told them my concerns, which was I really genuinely felt that Ethan should stay back in first grade. I thought that it would give him the opportunity to catch up with the rest of the kids and just feel confident because he knew the workload that was coming to him. Well, they advised me that no, Ethan should go into second grade and he's doing amazing and he's doing great. And honestly, I believed that. And I wanted to believe that. I wanted to believe that my son was doing so well that he could go to the next grade. So we allowed him to go to second grade. Well, once we were in second grade, he started to regress. And it wasn't because of COVID. This was way before COVID. And I got him assessed on my own dime, on my own time, and realized that he is so far back behind. So when we had the new IEP meeting and they were discussing putting Ethan in third grade, I just couldn't understand why they thought that was appropriate. And that's what led me to hire a consultant. I hired an IEP consultant, $75 an hour. They're not cheap, to look over his entire case. I had to go to the school and literally get his entire case from preschool. The file was about this big. She read over every single thing. She found some violations that I didn't even know about. She also found a lot of stuff in his IEP that just weren't right. He wasn't reaching his goals. just, some other things. So basically we took it to a lawyer, and we did the whole due process or hearing with the school system. And I just finished that meeting today, and I will tell you that it is the most ridiculous situation you could ever be in, because all they pretty much do is say they're going to fix the IEP. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, here I am paying $16,000 for a new school for Ethan. I'm also paying for consultants and tutors and the lawyer. So altogether, we've probably spent about $20,000. And for them, they think that having a new IEP meeting with, higher up people is a win for all of us. And I'm just curious to figure out, why do you think this was a win? If I didn't catch this, you guys would have pushed my son into third grade. He probably would have gotten bullied. He probably would have been depressed, probably would have gotten suicidal as his years went by if we did not catch this early. And this was all because I'm the one that noticed that something was wrong. It wasn't that the school system noticed it, his teachers, any of them. And it's really crazy to think that somebody who didn't go to college, who's a bartender, could notice something when I'm supposed to trust these people. They have their masters, their PhD, in education and special education. Like, why did they think this was okay? And I guess I'm going a little ahead of myself, but I think my concern is, what about the families that don't know their rights? Or what about the families that don't have the money to pursue this or the time to pursue this? Their poor kid just gets left in the system and gets pushed along. And I want everyone to really think about when they were in middle school and high school. Everyone remembers that one kid in their class that was either sleeping in class or goofing around. And you know what? It was probably because they were pushed along and they shouldn't have been. And they didn't know what was going on in the classroom. So they were either sleeping or joking around. And I refused for my son to be a statistic. And I'm glad I caught it. I guess for me, I have that mom guilt that I catch it too late because it was 2 years, but Ethan's in a new system now. He's in a new school and he has tutors. And I'm really hoping that we can at least get his reading and everything else into at least to like a first, second grade. We can work with that. But I did want to read some other facts really quick. So the vast majority of young adults with ASD, which is autism, we're working less than full time with an average earning of $8.10 per hour, significantly lower than the average for a young adult in the same group. So basically, that's telling me that this is what our society is doing now. They don't care about our special needs children. At the end of the day, somebody needs to work for $8, right? So it's like, why not have it special needs children? They really do believe that kids, the kids can stay into school until they're 24 years old. So they believe, go ahead and just push them along and then they can figure it out, once they're kind of in high school. So my thinking is, you want my son who's special needs to be 24 years old in high school among 17 and 18-year-olds, and you don't think he's going to get bullied then? You don't think that he can be suicidal then? You don't think he's going to get depressed? Are you serious? And you're willing to risk that? And I understand that this might be worst case scenario, but the fact that this is a scenario is a problem. I'm not trying to risk my son being in that situation. And the reality is, I'm a special needs mom. I already have my own concerns and thoughts that go through my head all the time. At the end of the day, if I didn't catch this, I think one of my biggest thoughts is, what if something were to physically happen to me? What if I were to pass? You know what I mean? What if I died and I didn't know this? Poor Ethan would have just been passed along because the teachers don't care. The school system does not care about our special needs children, and it just makes me so, I guess, just anxiety and all these negative thoughts in my mind that it's like, I'm going to be fighting for Ethan for the rest of his life. Like, I can't go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, I really need to make sure that I am healthy. I don't put myself in bad situations because I can't trust anyone with my special needs child. And that's a scary feeling. That's a really sucky feeling. I have some other facts that I wrote down. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and cost of raising an average child to 18 is roughly $240,000. It's a lot of money. Autism Speaks estimates that the lifetime cost of an individual with autism and or intellectual disabilities average 1.4 to 2.4 million dollars. That's a big difference. That's a huge difference. And I wanted to leave with that because what I wanted to say was, obviously going through the whole due process with the school system, you know, I had to pay my lawyer fees. And if we didn't ask for them to pay for the lawyer fees, they had no desire or need to even think that they would do that. Like, it's your fault. It's your fault. We're in this situation right now. And basically it cost me $20,000 to get my son out of the school, put him in something different and something that's actually working. That is not FAPE. That is not free and appropriate education. So the reason why I'm here, the reason why I'm talking to you guys is because honestly, I'm just trying to educate you guys on everything that I learned. And also I think for me is, you know, we need new laws. We need new legislations. It's, you know, at the end of the day, if a parent is going in and to a hearing because the school system messed up for years, it shouldn't be a lawyer's cap. That shouldn't be a law, because the reality is, if we have to choose between lawyers, and I chose the best lawyer because I wanted to win, but if I chose a lawyer that was cheaper, maybe we wouldn't have won, you know. But if you're capping it, of course parents are going to try to find the cheapest lawyer. Like, that's just not fair. You know, the laws that are in place where they're not going to pay for Ethan's homeschool situation pod that we have going on because it's not accredited. Well, I wouldn't have to pay this money if you provided my son with a free and appropriate education. So once again, that wasn't my fault, but it's out of my pocket. I just think that some of these laws need to change. And starting today, I'm going to find who I need to talk to. Congressman, I don't know who I'm supposed to talk to, but I'm going to figure it out. And I hope if you're watching this video, you share it, and hopefully we can get some of these new laws passed, because it's hard already being a special needs parent. The fact that we can't trust the public school system is just not fair for us. We already, you know, we're going through too much already not to trust the public school system. Like, that's the one group of people that we should trust with our kids. At the end of the day, you know, if Ethan doesn't get an education, you know, he's not going to get a high school diploma. He's not going to go to college. He's not going to get a job. And that's not fair that they did this to my son, that they were willing just to push him along because it looks bad for the teachers. It looks bad for the principal. It looks bad for the school. And I'm over it. And I know a lot of parents that feel the same way that I feel. So if you're hearing this now and you want to know some of your rights that you have as a special needs parent, which some of them are just, you know, you don't have to sign it right there and then. Take it home, look at it, get a consultant, let them read over it. You can record your meetings. And it's so important to record your meetings because there's so many things that are happening so quick, in your emotions, you know, of joining an IEP meeting or attending an IEP meeting. You know, record it, let it all process. These were all things that I learned as I was going. So if you have any questions, please message me on Facebook, find me. I give my number to anyone, because at the end of the day, I don't want other kids to go through this. I don't want other parents to have to go through this. And I kind of feel like, you know, if this had to happen to me, for me to help other families, then this is just where we're at. But I'm going to start making more videos because I really want to share a lot of the advice the tips that I've learned through this process. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I'm sorry it was kind of lengthy. It could be so much longer because I have so much more to say. But like I said, if you need to talk or just let me know. Also, my lawyer is willing to do free consultations, which I think is amazing. And I have 2 IEP consultants that are highly, highly recommended. So please, I'm going to try to put the information wherever I can so everybody can have this information. Thank you guys so much.